Hi everyone, and a very warm welcome back to the channel. Now this little video is just by way of something a little extra. I just finished doing the swatching on the last video, which you've seen, all about the Casein, and I had a bit of time spare at the end, and I felt that I just wanted to have a little play around with them, just see how they work. So I got my Bao Hong sketchbook out that's full of lovely full cotton paper, and I taped it up, and I got this little picture of the Romney Marshes just to have a go at. It's a very, very simple landscape, and the tonal values or the colors within it are very, very similar, and it's only contrast that makes it work. But I just felt that it was simple enough to have a play with and show you my first ever experience with this particular medium. Okay, already before I go any further, I must make a great big apology for the state of my fingerless gloves that I'm wearing during the course of this painting. In fact, I do take them off a bit later, but it was so cold when I started it that I had to rush to my plein air oil bag and take them out. And as I say, they are pretty grotty, so please forgive that. Now the colors I've been using are mainly my greens at this stage. My Casein green, which I've used a bit of black and a bit of blue with to take the temperature of it out and take the tone of it down and darken it somewhat. And I've also used some of the oxide of green with a bit of the ochre to give me some middle ground and some foreground color. What I've done now is gone back in with very, very similar colors to give me a little bit more opacity over the whole of the painting. And I've gone in with a little bit more of the ochre just to give me that yellowness in the field. It allows me then to go back in with a few darker marks to suggest contours in the field itself. And what I'm doing now for the rest of this painting is just firming up some of those decisions that I made in the first place. I'm using the greens, I'm using the blues, I'm using the darks, and now I'm putting in the trees. Now the paint underneath is pretty much dried out, and it does dry very, very fast. Got to say, it really is a stunning medium to work in, and I've done a painting since this one which I will edit soon and put out as well. I really have enjoyed using this medium overall. It is nice to work with, it's easy to work with, it dries fast, and not unlike gouache, which everybody tells you, it just works very, very fine. And I found that the ability for it to keep working on is not an instant dry and you can't do it anymore. It actually does keep working for an awful long time. So I don't think you have too much problem in worrying about if it dries up too fast, I can't rework it. I was doing that. You will disturb the paint underneath if you go in while it's still drying off. And that is not too dissimilar to using gouache. Now the trees I'm putting in here are pretty dark and they are a lot of green in them, but you also see me put a little bit of red. The red into a green is a complementary, and that really does help the overall look of the greens themselves. They look a little bit more natural. It doesn't really matter what red you do. You use the red you feel will work for you. It could be a cadmium red, it could be an alizarin or something like that, or quinacridone rose, or it could even be as simple as a burnt sienna or even a burnt umber. Now what I decided to do is put in a few of the very, very famous Romney sheep, the Romney Marsh sheep that we all know and love, and they are all around the world. They are such a hardy breed from the Romney Marshes. And I first went in with a very, very dark undercolor, which will allow me to suggest the shadows. And now I'm putting in the white. Now the white is not a pure white. I actually put a little bit of yellow ochre and then a little bit of the dark yellow that I've got there, or the orange that I've got there, just to take the white off of a pure cool white. I wanted it warmed up a little bit. But that's all I'm doing, is I'm just putting the highlights in. And I hope if I get them right, your brain will look at them and say they are sheep. Now, at least I hope you do. Anyway, that's the plan. But I'm just going over them, and like gouache, it will dry a little darker, a little duller. And so I found the only thing with Casein, and I did another painting of an oak tree over the Christmas period, which I didn't sadly film, but I worked on this particular painting for quite a while, and it took a lot of layers, a lot of passes to increase the whole idea of the lights. They kept going dull on me very, very quickly, and I was reluctant to use too much water in the end, because I knew that the more water you put into a mix like this, and it works the same with gouache, the darker it will go when it dries. So I was sort of playing around with the whole idea. I got there in the end with this painting, and I will put a little picture up at the end of this video just to show you what I meant and what I was painting. But I just feel that time and again, you do need to work on the highlights. You can see I'm going over all of these sheep one more time, at least one more time, just to suggest the light against the dark. And I need them to stand out. It wasn't a particularly lovely, bright day, but it was an evening. And although the light was a bit diffused, it was still quite bright. It was still there to be seen and give them a bit of a warm cast. That's why I use the ochre into the foreground green. I could have probably made it a little more ochreish, but I felt that that was a nice amount to put in. I didn't want it overtly yellow to green. I just wanted to suggest that the grass in the middle ground to foreground, i.e. between the trees and where I'm standing, to appear a little warmer. And that's what I was doing with these sheep, is just making sure that their woolly coats were a little warmer in the evening light. I didn't go too yellow with them or too orange, because I felt that they would then start to mix down with the grasses and the surroundings. I wanted them to stand out enough to appear to you looking at it that they were indeed animals, and I hope sheep at the same time. But that's where we're at with this. Now I've come in with a bit of dark just to reinforce some of the underneath where I got a little bit heavy with the light colors, and that's all I'm doing. I'm just looking, and I'm not even worried too much about the reference. I'm just studying it as I go and moving with the flow and trying to correct my mistakes in the painting and make sure that by the end of it I have got the overall look of the sheep. Now all I'm doing is checking out bits and pieces. So I'm just going to leave you with a little bit of music to end this, and hopefully I will see you in the next video. And indeed, if you've enjoyed this, then please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It always helps. Add your comments, share it with your friends, give it a thumbs up, all of those things. Above all, don't forget my free school. All the details is for that are underneath this and other videos, recent videos. So I'd love to see you over on my free school, and there is so much more for you to enjoy there. And if you want even more, including my weekly live stream, then consider joining my wildlife art school. It's not just wildlife, it's landscape, wildlife, and in various different media as well. So that's only $15 a month. Get involved with that. Love to have you there, and maybe see you on one of the lives very, very soon. So in that, all said and done, take care. Catch you all very, very soon. Bye-bye.